Defund gun control. All right. Tell me about it.
Well, as you know, Second Amendment protects all our individual rights. So, and all gun control is, contradictory to that.
So would you be for any sort of regulations on guns?
No.
In the Constitution, it says there will be a well-regulated militia. Does it bother you that in the Constitution it talks about regulating them?
No. Because actually at the time, regulated mean well-trained.
Okay, and do you think that all Americans that have guns are well-trained?
No.
Biden could say we can't have bazookas or something, but, I don't know that you couldn't,
Bazooka, though? Should everyday Americans have a bazooka?
Founding fathers would have liked to have bazookas.
The Founding Fathers, also owned slaves and didn't let women vote, right?
Well, times have changed.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Times have changed. Should there be an amendment on the Second Amendment? Because times are changing? There's so many...
I doubt that's ever going to happen.
Would you be in favor of it, though?
No.
If it saved children's lives?
No.
Even if it saved children's lives?
Because that's not going to be the answer.
But if it did, statistically, save children's lives, should we have more gun control?
No.
What, do you think you're going to shake these guys off their ahistoric read of the Second Amendment just because a few kids might die? Or hundreds or thousands of kids might die? Not a chance. These are principles. They're consistent, except in the cases where they're not.
So we're here at the NRA convention, and they've got things you can't bring into the main hall here, including gun parts, holsters, magazines, weapons of any kind. I guess the idea is that guns could hurt people, potentially kill people, and they don't want them anywhere in their convention.
So there was a security breach. We had everything set up. Everyone was in. The crowd was already getting full. We had hundreds of people here, but there was a security breach because the Detroit PD let some people in without being wanted by the Secret Service. So Secret Service has re-shut down, re-sealed the entire Huntington Place Center, and they're re-wanding everybody. They had the explosive dogs go around looking for pipe bombs to make sure nothing was planted. And they've rewanded every single person that's in here. Everyone is now being kept outside. All those hundreds of people now have to go through the magnetometers again because there was that security breach. Because President Trump is coming today, and so this room is this entire event is now a Secret Service protected event.
God, it is so funny to see how quickly they change their tune when there's a legitimate threat from their point of view. You see, third graders don't need to be protected.
No.
But the president, that's a different story. He's important. And the fact that the NRA and Turning Point USA both require you to disarm before entering says it all. What happened to the good guy with a gun?
We love you, Roseanne. We love you. I'm signing this especially for you. And we love everything you represent. Keep fighting. Thank you.
Talk about two people who should not have access to guns. Roseanne Barr and Donald Trump. Jesus Glock flippin' Christ. If nothing else comes from Trump's felony charges, at least he's barred from carrying. Although honestly, I've seen this guy wield a glass of water. I'm pretty sure that if he did have a gun, no one would be at more risk from it than him.
My colleagues love to talk about their guns, baby. And I'm from Texas, so let me be clear. I also own firearms. Let me scream. Democrats own guns too. Let me make it clear. I own guns and I'm licensed to carry. That is a regulation. Regulations aren't necessarily bad. It didn't stop me from being able to get a gun. So we were talking about, or y'all were talking about the ATF, which I wasn't going there. I didn't plan to go there. But you know what? I honestly wish the ATF would run amok, because we know that seemingly the people that run this chamber don't have the courage to come up with one of the things we've heard is common sense regulations when it comes to guns. And to be clear, our Constitution, the Second Amendment, anticipates people having common sense. Unfortunately, we have not done that, and unfortunately, it has cost us lives. So when you were testifying a little bit earlier, you talked about unintended consequences and the fact that we are supposed to be able to anticipate that as lawmakers when we are writing laws. Unfortunately, not only have we ignored the unintended consequences, but we've got foreseeable consequences that are continually ignored. And that is why we are talking about regulation, at least on this side of the aisle.
Guns here in the United States, if the kids are trained young enough and properly enough to use weapons, is a benefit. Problem is they banned them from all kids. I was trained when I was 7, 8 years old on guns. Now, if they have to wait until they're 18, they've gotten into drugs and watch that stupid television, internet, and all the violence on it. So when they get a gun now, what do they think they're going to use the gun for? Violence, because the internet is nothing but violence.
When I was a kid, my mother used to say, don't watch that TV because there's too much violence on the TV.
Way more on the internet than there is on regular TV now.
Okay.
Guns is my right. I know how to handle them. I've taken training. I've raised my kids. Guns are our primary. It's our right, our Second Amendment right that I refuse to give up, and many of our people refuse to give up.
Not even just talking about, I'm just talking about the danger. You talked about how it's poisoning our kids.
From law-abiding citizens, and the thugs and the criminals are still going to have their guns. I want to be able to protect myself from a thug or a criminal. I want to protect, if I'm in a school visiting my grandkids and there's a shooting, I want to be able to pull out and stop.
I don't believe guns are dangerous at all, as long as you have the proper training. I'm a Second Amendment supporter from the beginning as well. We hunt, fish, camp my whole life. I teach my son the same things.
They're talking about possibly raising the age to legally own a gun. They're talking about background checks, and they're talking about getting rid of assault weapons. Would any restrictions be okay with you to make other people more responsible because you're so responsible?
Well, number one, when it comes to an assault weapon, I guess I don't even know what that is. I have an AR. I don't consider that an assault weapon. We can take it out and shoot prairie dogs with it. We can shoot deer with it. We can protect ourselves at home with it. Actually, the assault weapon isn't intended for hunting. I guess if you want to call it an assault weapon, it's for home invaders. It's to protect yourself. I mean, everybody keeps saying you don't need an assault weapon to hunt or to shoot. It's fun to use them and do that with them, but that's not what they're intended for. They're intended for me to protect myself, my family. That's what they're for.
Traditionally, when marginalized people take up arms, the powers that be run scared. Back in 1967, then Governor of California Ronald Reagan signed the Mulford Act in direct response to the Black Panthers carrying out armed patrols of Oakland neighborhoods, now known as cop watching. See, that prohibited public carrying of loaded firearms without a permit. Gun control. Because in that case, it was a threat. When it's some pasty militia member, it's patriotism. That's how that works. These constitutionalists who love the Second Amendment don't really want all Americans to have access to guns. They want all Americans like them to have access to guns. And if you want to see that in practice, just have BLM arm itself. Or as Tom Morello says, arm the homeless. That Second Amendment absolutism will vanish real fast. And when government comes for those guns, I don't expect to hear the NRA make a peep.